Okay, so I have to say, this was my least favorite episode thus far. Just being honest. And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I'm going up on my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for 911. This is season 1, episode 6. And I love the show, but this right here was my least favorite of the episodes because it got very, very TV on us today. Yeah, whatever. Let's talk about it. Okay, so we start right off. There was a private plane incident. The guy had just gotten his license and his to be driving a plane, a personal little plane or whatever. He faked a false landing. It was actually a proposal for the girlfriend because the actual question to ask him to marry her, ask her to marry him, was in the instruction manual for emergency crash landing. So through all of that, you know, the plane's making this noise and she's gotten all upset, and then she's reading it and he's like, oh my God. And he gets in, then everything's normal and they're smiling and they're grinning, and he gives her the ring and he's like, yeah, I faked you out. You know, just that like any other. She's like, you're an asshole. Puts the ring on her. And then the next thing you know, she starts having what looks like a heart attack. I said, now he done scared her to goddamn death. So he did end up having to do an emergency landing. He actually landed onto a golf course. Lands down there. Of course, he gets Abby on the phone. Abby's like, what? You scared her to death, whatever. So Abby happened to call Buck. Buck gets the call. He's like, Abby, I can't talk right now. She's like, no. This is what happened. This is what it is. This is the call you're on, blah, blah, blah. Good thing that she did call, because she had called the woman's doctor and found out that she wasn't necessarily having a heart attack. It was a side effect of a thyroid situation and medication that she had that looks like a heart attack. And they were getting ready to give her a treatment right when Abby called that would have really screwed her up, but it didn't. So, of course, Abby saves the day again. So they get her, they give her the right treatment, brings her right out of it. When she comes out of it, she looks at him and she goes right back in and she accepts the marriage proposal. She's smiling, and then she smacks the shit out of him. And I was like, okay, whatever. That was the first thing. I was like, that was very television, you all. Very television, very odd for how this program generally goes. Okay, so then they were having a return party. It was a return party for Chimney. They had a cake that actually had a metal rod, what would look like a metal rod through the head, and there was a head that kind of looked like him on the cake. It was really in bad taste, but they had it. Very awkward. Abby was actually invited. She actually showed up for the party, and through her being there was this awkward push for her and Buck to go on an actual date because we were approaching Valentine's Day. Okay, so let's just get this all out of the way all at one time. Buck and Abby go on this date. He's very, very worried about the fact of having sex with her. You all know that. He doesn't want to fall into a situation where he ends up having sex with her because he likes her and he knows if he has sex with her, he's going to screw it all up. So remember, they were supposed to be staying on the phone and they have phone sex and they were just happy with all that. But the push came that he should be taking her out for New Year, for Valentine's Day, and that was that. So he did. He looked real cute. She looked real nice. They went to this nice restaurant. Well, in the midst of it, he was very nervous. Very nervous. And ended up choking on a piece of bread. Passing out. And they had to actually call emergency. And through all of this, Abby ends up tells him, call 911, put it on speakerphone. She started doing chest compressions. The bread wouldn't move or anything. He hadn't been breathing for like 2 minutes. She called, got a friend of hers. She said, listen, I need you to walk me through a emergency tracheotomy. And she's like, Abby, are you kidding? She's like, I got to do it. You know it's going to take the first responders at least 7 minutes to get here. And I can't let this happen because he'd be brain dead. You know, he's going to lose some brain function with this because he ain't breathing. So she actually got a knife and an ink pen. And she performed it, and baby, we sitting there, and I'm like, okay, she's compressing, blowing in it, doing all she needed to do, and baby, he opened up them beautiful eyes of his, honey, and it was like, okay. TV. Very TV, but that's okay. It's very cute because, you know, we like Abby and we like Buck. So that was fun. So he ended up going off to the hospital. She goes off to the hospital. That's how they spent Valentine's Day, okay? In the midst of all that, Captain Bobby comes and sits with her, and it was just cute and TV. Okay, so now let's go to where it was really getting TV-esque. Athena, you know, of course, you know what's going on with her and her husband, so she just literally has taken extra shifts at work to take up her time for Valentine's Day because ain't nobody Valentining with her ass. Her man's with his man. Okay, so like I said, she took some extra shifts, and she ended up, the first thing she ends up going, she got a call, and it started off with a woman. Her name is Melara. What's going on with Melara is actually having dinner with this guy. Okay? She's having a dinner with this guy. I believe his name is Ted. He bought her some chocolates, and him and her gets into a back and forth because she actually wanted diamonds. And he's like, I don't even like you all like that. You know, people told me not to deal with you because you got crazy eyes. And I just really ain't trying to fool with you. I don't like you like this. And I'm about sick of you. And as a matter of fact, I got other girlfriends. I got a second date. I'm going to go on it right now. And I bought that bitch the same chocolates I bought from you. And he really just had talked some real shit to Laura. And when we seen anything, the neighbors had called in a noise complaint because Melara had went upside his head. And they called in a noise complaint. Athena was dispatched. She comes out to the house. And Melara's in there. She's like, oh, ain't nothing going on. I got into a fight with my boyfriend, but he's gone. And, you know, I'm alone for Valentine's Day, this, that, thing, and the other. Athena showed her some love and was like, all right, cool. No problem. She notices a little slit on her wrist, and she was thinking to herself, suicidal. And she's like, okay. So she gave her her card and told her, you know what? If you need to talk, I'm going to be working all night. You give me a call. You understand? This, that, thing, and the other, and that's that. And they go ahead and they leave. She leaves, and that's that. Athena goes on to another call. When Melara closed that door, baby, she went back up in there. She had old boy tied up. Okay? He was tied up. And he was in this pantry closet. And the funny thing is that whenever Athena was a shoe seller, no guy is worth you giving yourself up. He ain't worth it. He did you a favor. You can get rid of him, and that's that. She took every word to the extreme. She went in that little pantry closet with a meat cleaver and tore his ass up, Patty. And the next time we seen him, he was stretched out on the table, deader than shit. Okay. So, let's go back to Athena. Athena goes on a run. There's a car accident on the freeway. She goes out there. She actually gets a medic, and she drives him to the hospital. And, you know, she turned on her sirens, baby, and she was badass flying through this freeway. She about gave the man a heart attack with the way she was driving. But they had like 7 minutes to get there because there was a kidney in the box, and they had the patient on the table already. And she got it there. She got it there. So we was like, all right, cool. In the midst of all of that, she got a call from Melara. She ends up going back to Melara's house. Melara's like all overly friendly and lesbian-like to her. She's like, oh, I had these chocolates here, and I think you're such a nice person, and we're both part of the Lonely Hearts Club, and this, that, and the other. She said, I ate all the so-and-so, whatever, the cream-filled ones out or whatever, and she's giving her a glass of wine, and she's like, well, wait a minute. You know, just like this girl's a little different. So she ends up spilling wine on Athena, and she's like, okay, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I want to use your bathroom because I got to clean this off. And then I need to go back out because there's calls coming through. And we can talk another time, but I need to go back out. And she's like, strange. She goes in the bathroom and she's telling her, there's some hydrogen peroxide in there under the counter. And you can use that. That'll get it out. And then she says something else about something else being there and it was good to get blood out. And Athena is like looking like, what the hell? So she goes in the medicine cabinet. Baby, this bitch got more medicine than the Rite Aid, okay? She's like, oh boy, she's a nut job. And she happens to go look in the shower and you see blood on the floor. She takes her gun out. She comes out. She starts looking around. She don't see Melara. She ends up like, you know, casing a joint. And she gets to this one room, and there's Ted laying on the table, deader than shit. And everywhere where she chopped and sliced him and cleared his ass, she done put super glue to close the wounds. Crazier than shit. She done put a gun to the back of Athena's head, got Athena, tied Athena up in a chair, tied her hands behind her back in the chair with some duct tape, and looked like a rubber band. I said, Lord, this woman is crazy as hell. And they're going back and forth, and they're having this here conversation. And she's telling Athena, you know, I really wish you hadn't seen that. Because, you know, I don't want to, you're a good person. I don't want to mess you up or anything. And she said, you know, but Ted was perfect. He's absolutely perfect. And he just had a cheating heart. So if I could take a good heart and replace his cheating heart, he'll be perfect. It's crazy as shit. And that's what she tells Athena. You're good. I want to take your heart and put it in him, and he's going to be just perfect. So in the midst of all that, then you hear somebody else having a fit, and you're like, what in the world? You hear this woman screaming, somebody help me. And she says, Lord have mercy. She looked down and think, there's a woman down at the bottom of the basement steps. She got her to knock the shit out of her and got her tied up with some damn duct tape. And she down the bottom, and she pushed her on down the steps. She down the bottom of the steps in the basement. Said, well, who is that? Well, that's the girl that he was getting ready to go on another date with. And I called her on her cell phone and told her, come on and meet him on over here. And she came on over here. I knocked the shit out of her, and I'm going to have to do her. So Athena's trying to reason with her, telling her, you know, it's not her fault, this, that, thing, and the other. They just having words back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then she starts getting mad, and Athena's like, you're a crazy bitch. Do you know that? You're a crazy bitch. You know, and they start having words back and forth. She go with her knife. She ready to go and get Athena. There's a knock at the door, which actually slowed her up. It distracted her. And she's like, and you're this woman banging at the door. Let me in there. I know you're in there. This, that, thing, the other. She's like, well, who is that? So by this time, Athena has worked her arms loose, and when she went over there to try to jab her, Athena come about the chair and beat the goddamn shit out of her. She grabbed her hands and banged her over into that damn sink and got the knife out of her hand, and then took a nice bottle of wine and cold cocked the shit out of her. Laid her ass out on the floor. Took her gun, because she had a gun. She took her gun from her, dumped all the bullets out, took her gun back, goes and opens the door and say, "Who are you?" Here, this is the third woman who actually had a date with old Ted, with his dead ass. And she just showed up, so I know you up in there, because she knew about Melara. And she just fussing. Coming there, sees Melara stretched out on the floor. She said, "Well, who is that?" And she's like, "Child, this is Ted's regular woman, honey. And y'all need to have a better choice than men." And honey, she's walking around just causing a ruckus. And then she go back there. Athena ain't even paying her no attention. She's over there handcuffing Melara. She goes, the woman runs to the body. She's like, "Oh my God." She's like, yeah. She said, "You saved us all, because if you had knocked on the door, we might not have been able to stop it. But thank you for knocking on the door. Y'all need to pick better men." Goes against the broad out of the basement and all that. And I just sat here and I was like, Ryan Murphy, I'll slap your goddamn face. Now, though it was funny, it was funny. It was a funny episode, but that's not kind of what we tune into for this show. This was my least favorite episode because it was so very television. It was too TV-ish. It was too kiki, ha, ha, ha. And I was like, didn't like this episode very much. But, yeah. And the whole serial killer thing, they could have really did something with that and really brought a realism to it, but it would have taken too long. It would have had to go on for a couple of weeks, but whatever. I didn't like this one too much. You all tell me what y'all thought down in the comments. And the only thing that was good was the whole thing with Buck and Abby. We know that they can go date without having sex, but we got to keep him with the bread out of his throat. Lord have mercy. Anyway, I'll catch y'all next week on 911. All right. Later.